you all for your attention about exit interview presentation. So today we will talk about why exit interview is required, information in the exit interviews, do's and don'ts, and we will do a group exercise to engage you all. And then examples of good and bad exit interviews. It's not really bad per se, but it's not so clear because our inspectors usually do a good job in listing something on the exit interview, but we have to make sure it's clear. And then finally, I will show some pictures, given the explanation, and then I would like you to do the exit interview and send your exit interviews to me. This is applicable to mostly to inspectors, but if reviewers want to do it too, that would be great. So why do we need interview?
It's in the regulations.
Correct. Required by the regulation, section 205, 403D. Second, in my opinion, exit interview is a unique opportunity for you all to talk to the client about the issues that you have identified. It helps the clients to understand what issues have been identified. Would this affect my certification? Third, important thing is to correct any errors in your findings. Inspectors may sometimes understand things different. When you put it in the exit interview, it gives the opportunity for the inspectors to, or the client to say, this is right, this is wrong. No, here is my version of it. So here is the exact section of the regulation. Don't typically in my presentation, I don't have a lot of verbals, but this one I can't cover. I have underlined the key points. The first one is authorized representative must be knowledgeable, confirm the accuracy and completeness. And then it also talks about additional information and issues of concerns. So what is meant by the accuracy and completion of the inspection observation? What it really means is whether what's on the OSP is accurate and complete. Sometimes you may need additional information to achieve the objective of the accuracy and completeness. So that's where, and some inspectors do additional information requested at the time of information inspection, and then also raise any issues of concern. So there are three things: accuracy and completeness of the application or the inspection process, any additional information. Third thing that needs to be in an exit interview is issues of concern. So now, before I give a mind list, let's do a small exercise and see. Some of the issues could be the same thing we talked about. Let's talk about the do's first. What do you think should be in the exit interview? Give me some, how the exit interview should be. What are the elements of the exit interview you're looking for? So elaborate more. What's non-compliant?
Offer that those boundaries are not sufficient.
So is that enough? So let's take the one example. I wish I could have a board here to write it down, but you said buffer, right? Is that an observation, or is there a discrepancy in the three criteria that we have used? Issues of concern, or is it a completeness of application, or additional information request that you talked about?
Issue
Issue of concern. So that's a good example of what you observe. You observe there is something in the organic system plan, but what you observe that the buffer not being adequate is not typically captured in the organic system plan. So you have a concern about the buffer, so it falls under the category of issues of concern. Else that you like to be the do's. What else you'd like to have in the exit interview?
And the inputs not listed on the sheet that are found.
Right. So that goes back to the criteria that I used is incomplete, accurate is not accurate, the OSP is not accurate, OSP is incomplete. What else?
Records that were known.
Correct. Would that be an issues of concern, or would that be not consistent with the organic system plan?
Well, it depends. If it's indicated they will have certain records and they weren't available, that's one issue. But if they say that the records were supposed to be there and they're not, then the issue of concern.
This is probably one of the issues of concern in more and more cases, because they typically do have some records, which should be an issue, that's what I hear you. But,
Changes to the application.
changes to the organic system plan, that would fall under the accuracy clause that I use. So, again, the three things that keep stressing me is, make sure the organic system plan is accurate and complete with what they have submitted and reviewed. Second criteria that you have in the exit interview is additional information required. Sometimes you are not able to make a decision, so you will be asked the information at the time of inspection. Brian Rakita typically does that. And then the third issue is making sure that if there is any issues of concern related to the organic system plan and the regulations. Those are the three things that need to be in the exit interview. Now, when I talk about do's and don'ts, it's not necessarily how the exit interview should look like. You're talking about the big picture issue of, is it clear, is it concise, is it gives the information what it is supposed to be. So now that we know what needs to be in the exit interview, which is, again, I keep stressing this, issues of concern, inconsistency with the organic system plan, or accuracy, and then any additional information required, let's do the do's. Additional information requests, issues of concerns, be specific. What you don't want to do here is write out something that's very generic in nature. Be specific. What are we talking about here? We'll see some examples of exit interview to talk about what we have to do. Include details. I included refer to inspection report. Say, for example, a farmer used a particular input. So first, let's go back and use an example here. In this example, what I was thinking is, it is not in the organic system plan, so it is inconsistent. So you identify it in the exit interview. Then the specific information needs to be there. The input, what's the frequency of this input being used? Where it is being used? How it's being used? How long has to be used? All the 5 W's and 1 H questions all have to be answered. But sometimes the exit interview is a short form. So you can typically have all those information in that place. So even if you list simply with 1-line statement saying this particular has been being used, then make a reference and include the details in the inspection report. So for example, line number 1. Because our inspection reports are question numbers, you can say refer question 112. So that will be elaborate details related to that particular exit interview point. So you're tying back the inspection report and the exit interview as one document, as opposed to 2 standalone documents. Sometimes, because of space issues, you try to be very simple, and then the reviewer opens up and says, what is the inspector talking about in the exit interview? Sometimes what you also found is the issues identified in the exit interview is not elaborated sufficient enough in the inspection report, or vice versa, which is issues are being discussed in the inspection report, but not identified in the exit interview. Well, this is my favorite. First one is legible. I don't have to explain this. It's pretty simple. You have to understand. People have to understand what you have written. So that's why keeping it concise in the exit interview is fine as long as it's legible, and then put the details in the inspection report. Always include section of the regulation if applicable. Sometimes we are issuing discussion. Issue of concerns could be a water safety thing that you may not be able to, nothing in the regulation specifically ties the water or Safe Drinking Water Act. So in that case, include section of the regulation applicable. Pursuant to 205201 organic system plan, include it. It will help you in 2 ways. One, it will help you to become familiar with the regulation. 2, it will enable you, in case this goes to the court for any appeal process, you have already cited the right section of the rules. Well, we already talked about inaccurate and incomplete organic system plan. Distinguish between potential and actual non-conformances. What I mean is, that's the gray area I'm talking about. Sometimes you find the prohibited substances. You have a fact, then negative. What it means is, imagine if you're an investigator, you have to stand in the court, then collect all the information related to the actual. If it is an actual non-compliant, cite as an actual non-compliant. There you have enough evidence.
I thought that inspectors weren't supposed to make those decisions.
That was IOA thing, but I don't use it argument. But that's the actual non-conformance have been done. The client has applied a prohibited substance. So you list that as a non-conformance. It's not a potential non-conformance. It is a non-conformance. The second part is potential non-conformance are non-conformances that you don't know that it is going to be a non-conformance or not. How would that be? Example. Another example is inputs. Inputs are the typical one with the classical example. You know the client has applied a material. But you don't know the status of the materials being allowed or prohibited. You still collect the same amount of information, except in the exit interview, you have reason to believe that would be a potential non-conformance or issue of concern, which is the client uses this and this is its input, the status of the input is not known. The allowed or prohibited nature of the input is not known. Then you can leave it as it is, but in terms of collection of information related to that particular non-compliances, either it is actual or potential, the information has to be backed up. Again, tie that back to the instruction report with details. Being verbose. So let's talk about the don'ts. Being verbose but not clear. We have several examples of that. The NLP has fun. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. Asking client to discontinue an input, you'll be fired. That's my response. Do not ask the client to do it. It's not your authority to make the determination. And this has happened before. The other part is, and not reporting. So not only, there's two scenarios I have seen. First, asking the client to discontinue, and then talking about it in the inspection report, that you have asked the inspection client or the inspected party to discontinue the input. The second part, you don't even mention that in the inspection report at all. That's not right. So if you find an input, like Roger said, that's not the organic system plan, it must be listed in the exit interview or in the inspection report. Give the list up, because sometimes there may be more than one input. You have to list more than one. So what you got to do here is just make sure that you list it. Don't make the determination. You don't have the authority to say not using it. The reviewer will make the determination on call.
What if, I think that might be your staff, we do have a discussion about a particular input that wasn't given, this is on the OSP, or the producer doesn't have enough information at the time of the inspection for the inspector to make sure that it is, an allowed product. And it is the grower who says, well, I think I'm going to stop using it. Okay? And I think it goes back to sort of what you say, sometimes being verbose or not being clear enough. And the inspector can write that that's what the client said.
Okay? If in this example, what I would expect is pursuant to 205, 105, list of allowed and prohibited materials, the client, 205, 601, list of allowed and prohibited materials cross. Client has used this in this input. Client says he will stop using this input, but then collect the details of stop using this input from the day on the inspection, and then you can go ahead and add an inspection section, corresponding section, where it was applied, how it was applied, how long it has been applied, quantity that was applied. So,
But see, this is, I don't want to expand too much on it, but going back to being clear, which is something that I sometimes have issues with. If written in a form where you can, they'll say, well, did the client say this or the inspector say this? The client will stop using the particular product. Okay?
in this
You
case,
say the grower stated he was.
Correct.
I don't know the problem with that. He said the inspector told the client to discontinue that product. That's what Rob.
That's what my problem is.
That's also very clear, but what about the client will stop using the
Right.
product?
the client will stop using the product, go either way. We don't know who said what. So in that case, what I expect is the grower stated, or the producer, or the client stated, as of today, the product has been stopped from using it. Whatever.
So, I have a question, Ron. So you said that they can point out in non-compliance, clearly,
Correct.
right? And they point out that this input is not allowed, this substance is prohibited.
You have to state that.
I know,
Down
but
the
it's not the
application.
same thing, like, can you change it?
No, that one, you're still not making the determination of decertification. The product is the non-compliance identified. The decision of the consequence decision of non-compliance is being done by the reviewer. He's not going to decertify the land. The reviewer is going to be the one who's going to decertify the land as a prohibited.
Oh, yeah, that's a different case. I was just saying the product itself.
The product itself is non-compliant, you can declare that. It's fine.
And so it was certain the case.
Yeah. It's very clear to us that the potential non-conformances are all, the inspectors don't get to make the decision right in terms of decision-making abilities, but in making a determination whether it's a non-compliant or not, that's the cause.
So if I'm doing a tobacco inspection, and I see the farmer's using a prohibited form of dipel, and they didn't know the wrong one or whatever, I see it every now and again. I should put on the exit interview that the inspector's aware that this formulation is prohibited.
Brian, I can't hear you. We can't hear you there.
There's an echo,
An
right?
echo chamber.
Okay. Brian, call me after this presentation.
Did you hear me better?
We can talk about it. It's better.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say it again. So if I'm doing a tobacco inspection and I see that the client is using the wrong form of dipel, for example, like a dipel ES,
Okay.
and it's on our prohibited list, and I know that, I should write on the exit interview that the product was prohibited. You're saying, right?
Right. Okay. That's very good examples for bringing it up. Staff inspectors enjoy certain privileges, meaning they have access to your prohibited list, etc., etc. Not all inputs. I'll give this examples. I've used first me as a staff inspector, and then second I've used myself as an independent inspector. Dipole DF. If I'm a staff inspector, I would say dipole DF according to QCS list is prohibited. I would be including that in the list in my exhibit. QCS list prohibits this dipole DF. Here's what is applied, how long it's been applied, procedure. If I'm an independent inspector, I don't know the status of the product. I may use the language. The product may not be applied to National Organic Board. Because you have the information, then use the information to your advantage to solidify the case of non-compliance. Sometimes it's too short, the special instructions the exit interviews are too short. What it is that? And I wish I could know that answers, but I don't know what is too short. Either it's too verbose or too short. We have examples of that. And then some people took the liberty to answer special instruction in the exit interview, which technically, when you're addressing issues of concern, special instructions are issues of concern, but I don't like the special instructions to be answered in the exit. Unless an issue. Well, this is a big question always. Can you change edit exit interview after you left the inspection location? Absolutely, yes. You can. But make sure the client is aware of the changes because he has signed the document. Last, make sure you do the process over on the form, document it, and if possible, get an updated signature on those issues. It's very likely after you leave and you start writing the inspection report, you will come across issues that you can always edit the interview accordingly. Well, we're going to go through some examples of exit interviews. Again, bear in mind, some of them are our own. I use staff inspectors. I am very respectful for the kind of quality of the work they do. So they have, let's talk about, I want inspectors who are out on the field to comment on what's take turns. It's not Rob and Brian. I want everybody else to participate. Right? take turns and look at this thing and see what you like and what you don't like about it. Let's use the criteria that we have been talking about and some of the do's and don'ts. These exit interviews have both plus and minuses. So let's go over some of the examples. Well, before we go into the detail, I'm sorry. This is actually the actual NOP's non-compliance that I want you to read. But during one of the review audits, it was noted that the daily operation had requested certification on the neighbor's adjoining 4-acre parcel. The operation had requested certification for the crop that was harvested in the previous year. There was no mention of this 4-acre parcel in the inspector exit interview. The inspector should have noted the request for certification in the exit interview as an issue of concern.
In that final review.
Terrible mistake. There's 2 mistakes here. The NOP was fair enough to cite one. One, it's a retroactive certification request. 2, should have been the exit interview in the first place. 3, if I was an inspector, I would have looked upon the 4 acres. If I have inspected the 4 acres, I would have included that as a part of my exit interview, saying I visited this 4-acre farm which was submitted as a blah blah blah. Details. But this one, cross omission. Oh, by the way, the inspector's not working with us anymore. Second thing, during one of the witness inspections, the inspector had no records. So the exit interview did not include reference to the missing records, did not clearly indicate that incomplete records are an issue of concern. So again, we talked about records as an example of issue of concern. Inspector missed it. During the review audit, it was noted that the inspector's exit interview contained 5 findings, 10 items to QCS, records and practices. Exit interview included inconsistent and unclear explanation of what was needed from the operation and what would occur during inspection and certification. Operation did not complete all the activities outlined in the exit interview, including documenting temporary department, adjoining land use agreements, the heating and cleaning, and livestock house. This goes on 2 things. One, not only was not clear on the exit interview, the second part is what the reviewers did with those information in the exit interview. But these are the 3 findings from the NOP. Actual examples. Is it clear to everybody?
You can't read it on the exit view.
Oh, legibility.
Correct. Okay, what else?
Um,
You can read anything, right?
So about the one with the 4-acre parcel, are we supposed to list all the parcels inspected on an exit interview? That's not part of the point, right?
No.
Yeah. This is the exit interview was, let's focus just on exit interview. There are many issues with some of those findings, but because they cited on exit interview.
It was an issue of concern that wasn't addressed during the exit interview.
Thanks.
Okay, this one, I want to show as an example because it was too short. While I did the first one. Additions and deletions are included here, but it was too short. It's not tied to the inspection report very clearly, and I wish it was a little more legible too.
You said too short. Is that too short mean that the point is not clear that it says that the grass was green and you're not sure which grass it's talking about? Is that short you're talking about? Like abrupt didn't get where the rest are dealing too short, as in we need more like we need a longer detail. What do you
Well, you can have too short, but find out that the inspection report. The grass is green, okay, fine. 205.01 grass is green. Refer question number 1113. What are you referring? Why do you want to say grass is green?
We have one inspector, you should list that in every exit interview.
Yeah, that's
Pastures for green and growing. Every single one.
sounds a fact. I think it's.
Okay, why do you say that? Why is it, with that example, why do you say that? Why do we have to have it in the interview? If it is not an issue of concern, if it is not an accurate, you can make a case with an accurate description of, but.
The way of saying something without saying.
So why is
Like, I was there, but I didn't identify any issue.
The reason why I'm saying too is that an exhibit always have issues, like some inspectors would write, notice of concern, is that too short? That's why there's
No issues of concern is a
I'm
fine.
just wondering, like, is there?
You can report, you're reporting no issues of concern is not a problem with me, because it's not a problem with NLP, it's not consistent with the regulation, because we're supposed to reflect the accuracy and completeness of the inspection.
Sometimes I'll write farm management is consistent with the organic.
That's my opinion.
Water needs to be no issues concerning, and therefore,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, be careful when you say no issue.
yeah, exactly. So you list a bunch of issues and then at the bottom you say no issues.
Oh, we have an example.
And so, the next,
Well, I tried to scan, because I had to cut the top and the bottom, and then I was trying to scan, it's not that clear here.
So they're not referencing the regulation.
So the regulation is not being referenced, you know, it's a new thing that introduced us also, you know, the inspector. In terms of capturing everything, I think that's a good part.
Can you
All right.
wasn't that me?
records are maintained and aired in the easy to audit, the fee.
Can you hear us?
I hear you.
Okay, Brian can hear us. Okay, everyone can hear us now.
Nothing it is.
It's actually right. No, I don't like that.
We're gonna resume. Oops, I think I did it from the beginning.
So what happened this morning,
Email to
I feel
everybody.
like I got here, I got an email from Kate using a system email. And so I put my morning responding to there, and she had the email.
I know, I got an email.
This is being recorded. Here's something, make it clear. Thank you.
All right, is this one, records are maintained, need to do audit for fees. And those are very long. New inputs have been used. Again, simplifier. We discussed and forget that we need to follow up. Etc. So what do you think?
I think the top one isn't necessary. Not identifying any issue concern or requesting information, it's just making a statement that.
Well, I'm not against making statements about, like, you know, if the record keeping is good.
That's what the checklist is for.
Right, but I mean, if you're seeing, especially like, for example, if you saw, there was a client who had very good records, actually kept additional records that weren't even necessary. And in the review, for some reason, in the previous year, they like made her change her record keeping stuff and like add additional steps, additional records that weren't really necessary. So she was keeping like 3 harvest records. And so I made it on the next interview to say she's keeping enough records. Her records are very good and traceable, you know, just to make a point that there's no issues with the records. And it's not systemic issue. You know, I don't see an issue with that.
But I agree with what is still in the checklist. So the question about record keeping.
Well,
We're going by the criteria that was at the beginning.
Right, but I was thinking about the experience that I want the reviewer to know. That, when I review a file, that's one of the first things I use, and that stands out to you. So if you're doing that, for example, in the previous year, I put in the report that the records were great, you know, that they were hugely valuable, but still, the reviewer made an issue of the record. Does that make sense?
yeah, well, I'll respond back to the board question. Again, the answer to the question is if there is an issue, then you can cite it again and again, I make it clear. You can cite it. The problem is, you can say the records are adequate, and then cite why you are doing it. Again, go back to the grass green situation. You know, there seems to be a discussion last year about refractive.
Yeah, I mean, it's just big to the file you're talking about, make
So
sure.
that it's clear to the next reviewer who's picking up the file and why it's okay to make comments, it's fine. I mean, I'm not saying just stick to this three things, but you're not going back to the concept of clear, why are you saying the grass green? What makes you say that? Other than just being happy that day.
In one of the when the auditors came here and they interviewed me and they were talking about executive review, that's what I pay attention to. And they were like, well, did you close it? Oh, you did close it. I'm like, no, I closed all of them because it should be able to close it. Like, it's an executive review from me, I should be able to say, close, receive information, that's okay with me. I make notes on my review, I sit there with my, just picture them and be like, or something to say, close, okay, the information on whatever, something are not necessarily up because of X. Like they would make a note and say, okay, that was unnecessary because it's an executive review or I use it as an executive review or an application or something. Make a response to them too.
Okay. Well, I think what the review of the inspector was trying to do here is delete the last line, non-compliance or properly implemented. The whole record keeping thing that she was talking about, she was talking about is non-compliance that was issued for record keeping, which is fine, I can carry that back.
Okay.
Which is fine, because you're making it saying that you're clearly ignoring the non-compliance and to verify the non-compliance of the implemented effectively. Again, it will be 205-103, cite the section of the rule, and encourage people to cite the section of the rule, and then say why you are stating that so it's clear. Alright, yeah. Well, the person trying to back with the other question.
Correction for non-compliance or.
Yeah. New inputs, I think this one is much better. The second thing is much better. It's actually better. This is one of the better best interviews. It's clear, something was used. It was one thing, but the thing is tied back to how their special use of mineral, how they was applied. The detail was in the inspection report, but we have to tie that back to the inspection report, say refer line number 1119. The last one, I already talked to the reviewer or the inspector, but what do y'all think?
They are, eligibility.
Nature,
I can read it.
I can read it.
Meet applicable. At 4/2013. Is that week?
Yeah, we can.
What's the next word after?
Available.
Available. The one below and. I don't like referencing the future, but that, to me, I don't know if that's necessarily a requirement.
See, a little bit more background on this. This is actually seems to be much more legit in terms of the size of the font that we can read and we can scan and talk about. The other two also have some other issues that I can go over very well. But the form or first issue is no documentation of organic nature for seeds and seedlings. 2014 seedling or 2000 wheat. There is two things here. Wheat is not a seedling, so we're talking about seeds and seedlings. It's a mix. We said no documentation, organic status, certified organic status of seeds and seedlings cannot be verified. Cite the rule. Or, split it up, to be better, organic status of 2014 wheat seeds. Certified organic status of organic wheat seeds cannot be determined. Cite the rule. 2013 seedlings of tobacco. Because what are we talking about here? Seedlings on one and then seeds on the next line. So the same line. So it's confusing. Second, equipment claim,
DG home, something.
yeah, DG home, is followed by water ends, the farmer is willing to record the rinse in the future, The actual part is, that's defined, and the confusion part came to me. Claymont is seeking credit for fields 2, 3, 14, 11, and 13. So basically, the farmer was requesting a bunch of parcels. It almost gave the impression that the farmer is just seeking this parcel only, but there were other parcels. So what I would have expected is all other parcels acreage is accurate. The only issue you have is Claymont, so state that Claymont is seeking acreage and these are the fields. Because we all get the impression that these are the only acreage that is being sought certification for. And then the inputs 0050, written documentation of this not available, the farmer will send with AI or I. What is 005 used for? I know it's actually. How long it's been used for, where it's been used for, if it's not in the organic system plan, it must decide that it's separate non.
I would just get a little worried about this particular activity because it's remedying the problem with some of the activity, which is adjustably stating false. You know, if you say the farmer will do this in the future, the farmer will do this in the future. So as a reviewer, issue compliance for this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know we should just put it all in the follow-up, but that would just be, like, I would have just, like, you know, many labels were not, you know, on inputs weren't, you know, there weren't labels on inputs, or, you know what I mean, like, just state it versus, you know, their erosion viewed on this, parcel, and not, you know, the farmer plans to repair this. You know, like, that's something I feel like the reviewer should discuss the concept.
Very good point. Very good point. You make this thing.
And you could write some details on this applications I mentioned in section 4.
So this is, I should be more objective.
That's the action for the non-compliant rather than the state, or not necessarily non-compliant, but state. Instead of stating the issue, it's saying, here's how they're gonna resolve this, this kind of,
as a reviewer, you're kind of like, you know, I'm gonna request information, you can be like, all right. You know, and it's, so I'm just like as a step back from, you know, you don't want to do like consulting with them and telling them that they need to repair this. You know what I mean? Just put the information. I don't know, that's just my.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this one?
I think that Rob's point of being clear and describing the issues that if the person stated they would have a rate in the future, that's what this document says.
Okay.
Well, it's brought up as an issue, so the farmer probably didn't know. He didn't know.
Yeah, I know, but it's not going to be an issue of being considered consulting. The farmer says
If the farmer says include that, it's fine, but make sure the reviewer has to make sure these are addressed. Just because the farmer says to the inspector he will do it, just don't drop the ball.
I wouldn't just go on that. I would still not like the farmer and say that the inspector stated that you plan on doing this in the future. Please submit an FSP or sort of.
But still an
document resolve the issue.
Right, I just think.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I should be more, I was more objective to the slide.
Yeah, I know that. I know.
Okay.
Yeah, but then you don't know what to do.
Leave how it's, and they need to figure out how to deal with it.
All right, group exercise here. So we have so far learned something else. So let's do some exercise now. I'm going to go through different situations. Right, inspectors specifically, I'd like you to write in, ask questions when you see the pictures. Get enough information from me, and you will write them down and send it to me later. Laura, do you have any questions?
I know.
Okay, here is the situation.
I didn't know what to say, Ryan.
So you just want us to write it down, like we.
Oh, wait.
You don't want you don't want.
I don't want us to discuss here.
Okay.
If you have any questions on this particular picture, and we know, You're an inspector, you observe this in the inspection site. I'd like to see you exhibit to be part of this consideration.
Something is a non-compliance in that exit interview. But when you say the client applies this substance, so this is a non-compliance.
It has to say explicitly states that you know they don't. Some of the inspectors are really elaborate. Maybe, possibly, extremely, they make very verbal about those non-conformance. It's a non-conformance inspector, which is thing. It's very tricky picture, so just be careful what all you're observing. Just be a good inspector. That's why I'm open to answer any questions.
Is there a lot number on the other side of the box, or is there no lot number?
Brian, what's the question?
You're asking me to look at this and see if I see any non-conformances. I mean,
no, if you see a non-conformance. No, if you see a non-conformance. Brian, go ahead.
I'm sorry, there's a little echo. I only see two sides of the box here. There's another 4 sides that I don't see that may have information that would make me feel more comfortable.
Oh yeah, this should be enough. This should be enough for what
you should just assume that the rest of the box doesn't have any use.
Correct. Alright, this is the second one. I'm going to move the third one. Well, I'd like to see how you all approach it. What's that? It's a broken fertilizer bag.
Looks like pelletized,
Yeah. I'd like to see how you handle it. Again, I carefully chose this is several years of my inspection pictures, so I carefully chose those issues that are tricky. I'll give you up front. It's all that's not straightforward. But don't make it complicated. Again, this is for processing folks, so I try to mix everything. You see this product sitting in there? In the ingredient section. Sign safety, use the product. This is for all livestock folks. I don't know.
You think that part wasn't listed on the OSP or?
Say it was not listed on the OSP. I expected. I was hoping that you'd all ask the question. What's that?
Is there any way we can zoom in on the listed ingredients bottom, or? I mean, we have it in the email that was sent out.
Yeah, that's the point. And then I think that's the last one. No, I have one more.
I don't know.
You don't know what?
Like, I don't know my name.
It was pretty obvious.
Something for from the heaven.
It was acid rain. Oh, this is the best picture.
This is all my family.
Did you say where that was?
And it's a shrimp operation, they find yours.
That was the best picture. That had me laughing for a couple minutes.
And what's in those tubs underneath?
Alright.
Shrimp?
There's shrimp in there. You see eyes?
Oh.
Oh, that's ice right there?
What is that?
Oh, I know, I was like wondering if it's like, I don't know, what's in the box is.
Well, it usually not in the box. Anything you have an active ice in there.
I didn't see the ice because, why is it stored next to it?
Good question.
Wow.
And I didn't keep these pictures. There are other violations that say, but I didn't keep all the pictures just for a reason. Remember, I would like to see you thinking through sections of the rule. Okay, again, this is a organic, says an organic sugar, so it's not just it's broken back.
What are we looking at?
Broken bag of sugar.
Broken back of sugar, organic, so it's certified organic sugar. What's that?
Not seeing the broken down. I'll
show you.
Oh. Okay.
I'll show you. It's right here.
Okay.
It's too bright here. You all have the presentation, but this is the only opportunity for you to ask questions. I will not ask you questions anymore.
That's split operation management?
Yes.
Okay.
When you typically, to give you a heads up, when you see this much bags of organic sugar, there's no dedicated organic facility in the whole world that I'm aware of that makes things like usually processing plants are all split operations because of volume basis. Okay, what is this we're talking about? This is actually a rice organic. Gosh, I can't even see it. Rice syrup. And you look at your picture, it would be similar to you.
That's a rice syrup container, and that's a chopped. Is the top there chopped?
You can see the picture right close to you. That's in the picture, right? So, because I don't want to answer it.
Is that a rag?
Yeah, rag, cover, or something else. Cite the section of the rule. You see the section of the rule.
I'm not sure I can see.
And some of them,
It's on the label.
we don't want you to go too off. Some of them may not be a concern in the first place. You all remember you're doing organic audits, right? Question?
So we're supposed to address food safety issues as well.
I'm not going to go in there. That's why I wanted to give it. Like I said, the reason is all to show the picture from about 100 pictures that I have for violations, different violations I have. It took me 2 hours to pick this picture because I want to make sure I do a quick capture of what instructions they encounter on field. Questions or comments? Hopefully the exhibit presentation was not a board, it was supposed to be boarded.
So we're taking those and we're making an estimate review and we're
Right.
sending it to you. Okay. So the ones that were livestock, do I have to do that?
Yes, you can.
So can I add mine? I don't even know if that's.
Come on. Look at it, look at it.
The land requirements are the same for livestock as they are for crops.
Look at it again, I think so.
Okay.
Okay, look at closely.
Oh, you can't hurt the pie.
Well, you might, yeah.
Yeah, we should talk here. Why is the first question is right on the back, you should be asking why is this one is down and this one is
Yeah,
up?
Yeah, you're right.
I usually give a clue about heaven, something flying from heaven. Questions? Yeah, if the application approves the procedures, but I'd like to see how you have handled that, how you would handle a decision. You decertify the land, all those information I'd like to see. But you and I, the instructor cannot make this decision right now.
Well, that kind of thing I would like to document when it was applied, like, we just make up a date, or how do you want to?
Yeah, make a date.
Leave it space.
Yeah, just the legal space, then it was applied,
What is they on a record?
well, you gotta see. But you there, record, that's a good question.
I'm like,
If you're naming of a situation, so let's take it back. That's a good discussion here. Ryan is saying, use and say dates, that's one approach. If I'm a review saying, if I want to take negative approach, I'll say roundup has been applied, this much square feet has been observed, and you don't have to respond back to this one since we take the statement. This much square feet has been approved, this is the day it was applied. What I would be using is taking negative approach, I would say no records are available to prove when it was applied, what was applied, etc., etc. And then that should be separate notice of non-compliance. The other one that I would address, you would address is because of its proximity to the animals, and you actually put your concerns on those areas. But since I already told you about ignore the slide, but focus on other stuff. So some of them may be more than one issue.
Oh, yeah, so I guess my question is that a layer house or a float house?
Okay, what do you think? So, Ryan, Ryan, what do y'all think?
Because the sunlight is going for one of them, so that when they're shedding.
Alright, it's, because some people are not here, it is a flood house because there is no outdoor access area here. Typically in the flood houses, you don't have outdoor access area. Sometimes they may have on the other side, it's possible, but in this operation, nothing.
Most of the operations they have, they use the stage of life exception for not having to give out your access to fully the stage of life.
So this is this.
Because the one that's saying it's a bullet house.
It's like their bullet house certified, the land around the bullet house is not certified?
No, it is not. Correct. In a flood house, the land around is not certified.
Right. So this wouldn't be, technically, it's,
But because of the proximity of the city supply, this will be a 90% supply. You as an inspector, you're now going as a viewer. You're an inspector. Don't look that behind, it's just a story. The proximity, closeness to the animal is definitely a concern, issue of concern. And the regulation, yeah, the land is not certified, but that is a buffer to apply on that.
Right.
Even if the flood house is not required, that is a buffer. It's no buffer. It's too close.
No, I need to real bullet house before I do it.
Any other questions? Very good, thank you.
When do you want these done by?
Well, next week, before everything was being loose.
Before what?
The steam of the presentation.
Oh, okay.
and everything.
I'm gonna end the recording now.